This is Eric Sloof at the VMworld 2014. We're at the bookstore and I'm joined by Bill Ferguson. Hi Bill.
Hi Eric, how are you doing?
Bill is a fellow VCI and you're teaching classes just like me. You still enjoying teaching classes?
Oh, I love teaching classes. Yeah, nothing better I like to do. Absolutely.
So, what I've heard is that you're a real Cisco guru and that you have achieved your goal that you are also allowed to teach NSX.
Oh yeah, I'm really excited about teaching NSX. I've taught a lot of Cisco and I've taught a lot of VMware, and that kind of pulls it all together, and so yeah, I'm really excited about that.
So if your network background isn't that solid, is NSX something for a regular administrator, or is it the network guy from the company that's attending these training courses?
Oh, that's a great question. Well, what we do in the Install, Configure, Manage class is we go over some basic networking, so that even if your networking isn't solid, that's part of the class, is to get you up, solid in regards to physical networking before we start talking about NSX.
So the class is first creating a foundation, like a very speedy CCNA training course in one day, and on top of that you're going to do the virtualization?
Sort of, yeah. We don't get into as much depth as you do in a CCNA class because you don't have time. But what we do is we talk about the things that are relevant to what you're about to learn in NSX, so that when we start putting virtual networking on top of that, people have a good foundation for learning that.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So. You've written a book to prepare students for the VCP5 exam.
I have. This is actually the second one. I wrote the official VCP5 certification guide for Pearson VMware Press about 2 years ago, something like that. I think we're on our fourth or fifth reprint on that. But then they came out with the web client and the 550 test, and so we know that eventually the 510 test will go away. So I wrote the 550 test and upgraded it all to the 550. I wrote the book to upgrade it to the 550. And it's all the pictures are retaken on the web client, all the labs are redone, and plus all the additional material that changed from 5.1 to 5.5.
Right. So this book, the official certification guide, is based on vSphere 5.5 and the most recent VCP 5.5.0 exam.
Absolutely is. Absolutely is.
Okay,
yep.
Great. So it looks very cool. It's only launched last Monday, so it's fresh.
Just this past Monday, just a few days ago, it launched here at VMworld. It was the first time that you could get it. So I'm excited. They say that it's selling pretty well, so I'm excited about that. It'll help a lot of people.
So, regarding helping people passing the exam, I always have a bit of a mixed feeling with certification guides, because some guides are tending to stealing questions from the official exam and doing things like brain dumping. How do you avoid going too far with actual questions?
That's a great question, and I would never do that, brain dump. But what I do is I use the blueprint, because the blueprint is what VMware provides in order for you to study for the test. So what I do is both the book that I wrote before and this one are written directly to the blueprint, and so that way it's like a person sitting shoulder to shoulder with a VCI, going back through everything that they learned in class and then even some more, so they get all of the components of the blueprint, and then they're ready for the test.
Are there any example questions in the book?
Many example questions in the book, and then there's also additional test questions, or mock test questions that are in addition to what's in the chapters in the book, and all that's available in paper as well as electronic form.
What I recall from earlier exams is that when you take the maximum PDF and learn all the figures, like how big is a VMDK, how many network cards in a virtual machine, then you could easily pass the exam. But that's not the case anymore, from what I've heard.
No, it's not. I think there's actually, if we have time, I think there's actually 5 different things that people need to know in order to, when they're studying anything they're studying, whether it's the PDFs or my book or somebody else's book. And one of them is configuration maximums, because you still do need to know that in order to eliminate distractors, right? Answers that aren't right. And then there's ports. VMware loves to ask about ports. Everything is right except for, it's the wrong port. Then tables, anything that's in a table that somebody took the time to make a table, pay attention to that. There's a story there, there's a picture there that you can remember. Plus it's low-hanging fruit for people who make the tests, right? They can pull some questions right out of the table, and that's pretty easy to do. And then dialog box questions, right? Dialog box questions are where we don't have to do a simulation, but what you have have to know is that you know, if I were doing this, if I were in the software, you know, where would I go? You know, and you know, is this possible?
Okay, that's pretty cool. So what you're saying is change roles and become a question writer, and then look at the information and see what could be questionized.
Couldn't have said it better myself. That's exactly right. Yep.
Okay, so when you are only learning vSphere 5.5, you're missing out on some questions, I think, because there's also vCenter operations in the current exam. Are there any other topics that people need to pay attention to?
Anything that's in the blueprint that's not on the install, configure, and manage test. So there are some things, you know, in there that you know, you should know about that we don't get into as much depth in the install, configure, and manage, you know, class as, you know, as in the book. So really, just that's what I do is do a comparison of anything that was covered in the install, configure, and manage class that they have to take and the blueprint.
So what you're saying is when you are attending a vSphere 5.5 install, configure, and manage training, you have to go through the blueprint anyway, because there are some things that are not that elaborate in the normal training course, and you buy this book and prepare well for the exam.
Absolutely, yeah, and I think, you know, I said there was 5. I just remember the last one. It's new to version, and that's the main thing. If you're going to take the 5.10 test, still all the new to version things are going to be from 4.1 to 5.0. That's going to be the bulk of that test. But the 550 test, which you can also take now, that's going to be everything from 4.1 all the way through 5.5, with an emphasis on things from 5.1 to 5.5. So you have to kind of, you know, think about the new to version concept of that as well as you're looking at the blueprint and as you're thinking about the test.
Okay, well, pretty cool, man. Many thanks for the interview, Bill, and I hope your book will be sold a lot.
Well, you're welcome, Eric. It's great to see you again.
Thanks.
Thank you.